There's a quote that I really like, and it says, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And I love how simply powerful those words are, because we really like our comfort zones, don't we? And some people literally fight to the death to stay in those comfort zones because stepping out of that is just way, way too scary. And I was thinking about isolation, as we probably all are at this time. And I was thinking that creativity and invention and revolution don't happen in isolation. They happen in community because they happen by being inspired by others and being supported by others. And I was thinking, we're living now in a time, in this sort of weird time with this virus, where things could kind of go either way. They could get really, really bad and then go back to normal, or they can get really, really bad and we can find ourselves in a new normal. And that new normal will be determined by us and what we choose to do, what we choose to take from this experience. If we stay isolated, and I know that many of us are isolated physically, but if we stay isolated and hold up in our lives and we only ever think about what's happening around us from minute to minute, we'll come out of this the other end and slip straight back into where we were before. And I think it's difficult because we are constantly told to live in the present. You know, before this whole thing happened, let's live in the present, stop worrying about the future and fearing things and living in the past, and the present is so beautiful. Okay, but for a lot of people the present isn't beautiful, and for us all at this moment the present isn't so fantastic either. And the future we can look at in two ways as well. We can either look at the future as being bleak, or it being an opportunity for something. And I don't want to at all compare this to the concentration camps of the Nazis in World War II. So I'm not doing that at all. But Viktor Frankl, in his book Man's Search for Meaning, so he was a prisoner in a concentration camp and a psychologist. And in his experience, he found that the people who were more likely to survive were those that were able to project themselves into the future in a positive way. And he says this, he says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And I'm not saying that in order to survive physically, we need to project ourselves into the future and think happy thoughts. That's too simplistic. But to survive in a different way, to survive in a way that is more conducive to proper living, rather than going back to where we were, which was in a way it was really isolated anyway. We were kind of all together and all doing things, but we were all doing our own things together. We were alone together. And there is a lot of negative talk, but there is also some positive talk. And the positive talk doesn't get a lot of spin because the news is kind of bleak, and nobody wants to be that person running around in a party hat kind of going, I think something great's going to come out of this, because people are sick and people are dying and people are worried. So nobody really wants to do that. and be the happy person. But there are slithers of hope that people are starting to share, and they're sort of thinking, I wonder what's going to come out of this. What is going to be birthed out of this unprecedented situation? And my thinking was that the people who are able to, even though we're physically isolating, the people who are able to engage in community, the people who are still able to be creative, who are still able to think about revolution and think about where we've come from and where we want to go, those are the people who will revolutionize the world. Those are the people who will come out of the other end and go, this is how I'm living now. And it won't be out of fear, and it won't be because we're forced to. It'll be because that's what people want. But if we stay isolated physically and mentally and from a community standpoint, which we have done for decades anyway, we just haven't realized it, then we will get more of the same, and we'll get through this, and some people will live and some people will die and some people will get sick and some people won't. And then we'll come out of it and we'll say, right, we're just back where we started. So if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And we limit ourselves by what has gone before. We limit ourselves by what we know and what we're comfortable with. And it's quite often that people dream about things, and it's quite often that they talk about how things would be great if they were different, but not a lot of people are able to push through that comfort zone and make those things happen. So I just wanted to inspire those individuals who are the revolutionaries, who are the artists, who want to create, who want to invent, to keep pushing the boundaries and keep pushing the comfort zone. And for those who have never done it before, who are thinking, yeah, I am in my comfort zone, and I do find it uncomfortable to push that envelope a little bit. Just do it bit by bit. Just push yourself a little bit further than you did yesterday until your comfort zone just kind of gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger and starts to envelop other people. So you're bringing inspiration in and experience in and hope and encouragement into your comfort zone. And then you can turn that inside out and push that out into the world. I hope that helps.